Hello, Steve White, Steve Art 79. Well, I want to talk about the CandyMen. Now, I saw the original film back in the day on video. I thought it was new, but actually it was made in 1992, so it was 1992, so it was a bit old by the time I saw it. But it was a new film to me. I loved it. I thought it was great. Scared the hell out of me. I didn't watch it again until I bought it on DVD years later, like a decade ago. And then I heard they were making a reboot, a remake, and I was like, oh, okay. I thought, well, I'll watch that. I did buy it. I eventually watched it the other day, and I was a little bit confused. And I wanted to watch the original film again, but I had a problem where there were three sequels, and I had 1 and 3, or I thought. And when I was doing the research on the box office for the films, I realised that the second film, the third film, or what I thought was the third film, Farewell to Flesh, was actually the second film. So there's CandyMan, CandyMan Farewell to the Flesh, and then CandyMan 3, Day of the Dead. So I ordered CandyMan 3, and I realised, oh great, I can watch the original and the second sequel, which I've never seen, in order, and then when 3 comes in, I can watch that. So that's great. I don't have to wait to find the second film before I can watch the third film. So that's what I was sort of doing, and I just hadn't seen it anywhere because it didn't exist. So the name's confused. So I sat down and watched 1 and 2, and I was, again, a bit confused because there's a character, an actress called Vanessa Estelle Williams. Her name, she's a black lady. Her name is spelled the same as the other black lady called Vanessa Williams, who was Miss World or whatever, and has been in Ugly Betty and a bunch of films. So I was a bit confused when I saw the name. I thought, oh wow, she's in it, and I'm like, where is she? I couldn't work out where she was, and I didn't recognise the Vanessa Williams character as the character from the first film, because I didn't really remember most of the film. I remembered Tony Todd, Virginia Madsen. I didn't really remember that he kidnapped the baby and he set her up and all of this stuff. I didn't remember that whole part of it. I just remember the end of her burning out, crawling out of the flames. I forgot all about the baby. So I watched that and I'm like, oh. And I thought Vanessa Williams was the friend, but she was played by Cassie Lemons. And just because Vanessa Williams was the biggest sort of name aside from Tony Todd and Virginia Madsen because of Melrose Place that she was in, I thought she must have been the friend, and I didn't really remember what she looked like. And then I watched, I watched the second film, and it didn't have a lot of relation to the first film. I mean, it expanded on Candyman's character and showed some of his backstory and created the MacGuffin of this mirror that his powers were stilled into, and if you destroyed the mirror, you could destroy him. So it was a bit of a gimmick. And it was set where he was born, and it more was to do with his backstory in another family. It wasn't really, to do with Cabrini Green or any of that stuff. So I watched those two films, and I wanted to watch the reboot again because I realised it's not a reboot, it's not a remake, it's actually a direct sequel. When you read the information about it, it is a direct sequel. I just had never heard of it described as a direct sequel. I thought it was a reboot remake. And I watched it and I was like, oh my God, the main guy from this film is the kid from the first film who grew up, and his mother kept him safe. After the whole Candyman thing happened, they all swore secrecy, and Candyman died, basically, because no one talked about him anymore. But we had the kid who saw a Candyman when he was a kid, when he was in the laundry, and then we had him sort of started up again, because he told the artist, the boy, and then he said Candyman 5 times, and he became possessed by Candyman. But it was a different Candyman, not the Tony Todd Candyman. This Candyman lived in the projects. He was a real person. He had a hook. He was accused of putting a razor blade in a white girl's candy, which is a myth that never happened. It's a story that gets told. I think it first appeared in Halloween 2, and it became this urban legend that never actually happened. There was a man who poisoned his children with candy and tried to poison other kids so people would think it was someone else, but it was him trying to kill his own children for the insurance money. But no one ever did the candy, the blade in the candy. So he gets blamed for that. This kid sees him, he screams. The cops come, they kill him because they've been looking for him. Then they realise it keeps happening and it wasn't him, he was innocent. And he becomes the Candyman for this guy. And he possesses the artist, and he comes back. And he's killing people throughout the film. But then at the end, the boy who saw him is killed, and the new Candyman is killed, and then I'm like, who is this him coming back? Who, after the woman says CandyMan 4 times in the mirror, and the cop in the car who's giving her options of what stories to tell, he says CandyMan, then a CandyMan appears, kills everyone, the cop runs, he dies, then she leaves the car, and she sees in an alley the CandyMan killing this cop, I guess, who ran away, the last one, and we see this time it's Tony Todd. And he says, tell them about me. And that's the end of the film. And they recreated him with CGI, I guess, or they de-aged him. And I'm like, and I'm a bit confused. At the end of the very film, though, if you watch it, there's a puppet show, and they show a bunch of stories, and at the end you see 5 CandyMen. You see the Tony Todd CandyMan, and then other CandyMen, and you're like, okay, so this is bigger than the one character, this story, this myth, this legend, and that's what this is. And I tried to keep this to 6 minutes, but I couldn't do it. 5 minutes. I try to always keep it to 5 minutes and finish before 6. I didn't do it. But yeah, so the original film was great. The sequel was good. It was a direct sequel. It made perfect sense. The second film was interesting. It was very horror movie. A lot of gore, a MacGuffin, a way to kill the villain, that was very cliched and strange. And I haven't seen the third film yet, so I guess I'll watch that and give my final conclusion on the whole series. But yeah, I'm just a bit embarrassed that I didn't recognise the actress, got her confused, and didn't actually realise that the film, the 2021 film, was actually a direct sequel. Now, they didn't use the film of the kid in the first film. They reshot that and so forth. So I can be forgiven a little bit because they didn't reuse the footage. They did refilm stuff, and it seemed like for a few minutes to be an actual reboot, but it's not. But I'm going to go because I'm already up to 7 minutes. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the CandyMen. I'm okay with the idea of this myth being bigger and different men taking on that role, and this legacy of victimization and that of these people that want vengeance, and it's not just the one CandyMan. So, but they did take away a little bit from the first character because he was very elegant and very mysterious and very supernatural. And this CandyMan, the possessed, sort of, he had wounds that were coming through all that. It was a bit more gory, a bit less glamorous, a bit more realistic. And I'm still talking. I'm going to go.